Hi, this is Brad with Baker County Trash Pickup. If this is the first time watching, my wife and I started a trash pickup company when Waste Management pulled out of our rural county. This video series is going to document the business from beginning to, well, I was going to say end, but that's kind of morbid. What you see in the background is me loading up an emergency can for somebody. This is Tuesday. Turns out they did not put the can out when they're supposed to, which is the night before service, Sunday. Monday, when we drove past at 7 in the morning, these cans were not out. Thank goodness I use Jobber software. We have timestamps when we start a job, when we stop a job, and when we complete a job. We did all three of those things, start, stop, and complete, as we were coming up to and passing that house. So we have 3 GPS timestamps that show we were there at 7:12 in the morning. There were no cans out. Now, technically, we don't have picture evidence that there were no cans out, but I mean, we don't skip cans. There's no benefit in it for us. We only have one route per week, so an extra pickup is not something we can do. So we just dropped off a can to get them through this upcoming week, and there was a fee, a charge for that. We had 3 new clients sign up, so we're passing out 4 cans. One of them ordered 2 cans. This is Sunday morning. Sunday morning is when I pass those cans out, so folks have all day to transfer the trash from whatever cans they're using now to our can, so that it'll be ready for them to put out Sunday night, so that we can then pick it up Monday morning. I often get a lot of folks who will say you're walking the cans way too far, and I don't know which aspect they mean. When it comes to dropping off a new can, I always wheel that right up to somebody's house as a courtesy, because generally they're going to need to empty their trash out, which isn't at the street. If they are talking about the weekly pickups, that is one thing that I've been trying to get better at. I think this week and especially next week's videos will show I'm getting a little bit better about where I pull the trailer up. So I have to pull the trash can to the trailer a much shorter distance. And then when I'm done, I don't go very far with the trailer and I don't, walk it back up to the house. So that's one improvement that we're making. But for Sunday morning can drop-offs, I usually do pull the can up as close as I can. If they already have a trash can, I'll put it right next to their existing trash can. If they don't have a trash can, I'll put it somewhere where it's just real easy for them to see. 2 cans. After these can drop-offs, the next video clips we'll see is Monday morning, getting ready for the route. And at least on this week, the way that I do that, in addition to all the normal stuff I do, getting the trailer pulled out, getting the strobe lights on, is restocking the liners. Now, in other videos, I talk a lot about why I'm using these liners. Tons of advice and tons of comments on them. If you're wondering why, just trust me that this is the best thing for me to do while I'm manually picking cans up, is to use liners in them. I've told people to bag all their trash. They don't. There's a lot of loose trash. A lot of folks have suggested building something like a spool for these trash cans. I can't, because there's no hole in the center. Putting them in the hydraulic box, I think, is probably the most efficient thing to do without me having to build something. So I'm just going to keep doing that. Here's an example of a can that is beautifully done. Couple of bags of trash, all of them are bagged. The liner stays clean so I can just reuse it, wheel it right back. That was a stop that took like 30-something seconds. I have found if I have to replace the liner, I'm usually going to be around 1.5 minutes, and I'm not going to be able to get much faster than that. On cans like this, where there's a bunch of bags, obviously that's going to take longer as well. In addition to where I am placing the trailer when I park, the other thing I'm getting better at is where I'm placing the trash bags in the trailer, because now I'm starting to get to the point where the space that is left in my trailer at the end of my 30, 35 cans, as I'm eking those numbers up 1, 2, 3 a week, is getting less and less. So I don't think I'm stuck for space yet, but it is getting fuller. And you'll see me experiment here a little bit later on with tilting the trailer. That one week I ran a manual cart tipper, a lot of folks said, no, the tipper is fine. In order to move that trash back, you just need to to tilt the dump trailer up after every stop. And you'll see that that's a 2-minute process. It is very silly to think that I can tip that trailer after every single stop. And that was one of the big issues with that manual cart tipper, is it dumped the trash right in the opening where the next stop's trash would need to go. There wouldn't be room to dump it. So I had to keep clearing space out of that. So it just didn't work out. But just for kicks, I did test tipping the dump trailer, because that is going to be the next step in my growth. Once I get to where this dump trailer fills up from, I'm thinking around 40 or 50 cans, what I'm going to have to do at some point during the middle of the route is tilt the trailer all the way up so that the trash kind of compacts itself and goes away from the front of the trailer. So then when I bring it back down, I have room in the front of the trailer to throw more trash. This is another reason why I don't have any cutouts in the rear of the trailer. Some folks have suggested, well, why don't you have cutouts or doors in different spots along the trailer that you can open and close? Well, not only is that a lot of work, I don't necessarily think I have to. Oh, I think I got some maggots on me at that point. Because having this cutout in the front means that I can throw everything in the front, tip the trailer. No trash is going to fall out of any openings towards the back because I don't have any openings there. So I believe this will work okay for a while. But again, this whole thing is just experimenting and seeing what kind of setup works. I believe I forgot to talk about it last week, but what I did with the tarp is permanently installed it, semi-permanently. I don't know if that's the right word. I basically got bungees on every single grommet that I could find, and it is holding that tarp down really tightly. If I didn't have it extended the entire time, I would risk blowout traveling around the route, which you guys have seen before on the channel. I don't want to do. I could just pull it back every single time I needed it when I got on the highway, but that'd be like 3 or 4 different times. And so now you're talking 4 or 5 minutes to unhook all the bungees, roll the tarp in, roll the tarp back out, hook all the bungees back again. So here's an example of tipping this to see how it gets the trash back. The other thing that is important to know about this dump trailer is you have to tip it back extremely far before the trash starts moving. Some folks have said, why don't you put a ramp at the front of the trailer so that when you dump the trash in, it'll roll? So that was 2 minutes. I'm not going to do that every single stop. The ramp would have to be steeper than I could build for it to have any kind of effect on where the trash lands. So for now, I'm just getting better at slinging the smaller bags towards the back. The times that that's not going to work out is kind of like what you see here, where somebody puts a ton of loose trash on top and I can't dig down to get the smaller bags. When I have to pull the whole liner out, the thing is so heavy that I don't have the strength or the opening to sling it to the back of the trailer. So I just have to push it in the opening, and then that kind of blocks the I run into the same problem that I had with the tipper, right? Where I put the trash is blocked, there's no room for more trash. Lots of ants this week. I think we had some rain that is causing them to maybe seek out higher ground, but you will several times see me patting my stomach, my groin area. That's not me trying to be inappropriate. That's me realizing there's fire ants crawling on me because I have leaned over the rim of the garbage can that they have made their home. This property was one that I was a little bit nicer than I think I normally would be. This is a newer customer and the can was at their house. I had picked up for them last week and they had a can out. I actually had 2 cans. So I called them and said, hey, did you mean to bring your can down or did you just forget it? And they said they forgot it. So I ran up to their house and wheeled it down. I do that again next week, but I don't think I'm going to do any more freebies because I don't want them to think that, you know, I'm a service that goes all the way up to the house, just because that's not going to work once I get a truck and, you know, I'm trying to do things a little bit quicker. Again, a good example of why I have these liners. You can see all this loose trash, a lot of bigger cardboard boxes that are easy to toss in the front. But I'm telling folks, please bag your trash. There's still a lot that, like, here's an example. Some people have their kids take care of the trash. And if you've got a teenager, they probably didn't read that agreement. Honestly, the people who signed the agreement probably didn't read the agreement. You'll have kids who are doing this or just cleaning their cars out and throwing out all the junk that they have, and they see a bag and they say, yeah, it's already bagged. They don't think anything about it. That's why I'm keeping these liners around. Most of the kinks, I believe, I have worked out. I'm getting a little bit quicker each day. The muscle memory is getting better. I'm figuring out on each stop how to pull up a little quicker, how to stop a little closer to the can, how to make things a little bit speedier each time. But again, if I have to replace the liner, 1.5 minutes is the average stop time. And then if I can reuse the liner, between 30 seconds and a minute for each can is what I'm looking at. One thing that I did not think about, and I am ashamed to say it because it's kind of an obvious thing, I did not think about the fact that if I put all 200 of my cans out on the street and liners are 75 cents a piece, which, as a quick side note, a lot of folks are like, yeah, that's way too expensive for liners. You got to check this place. You got to check that place. Every single place I have looked is more expensive than 75 cents a liner. So if you have an actual source that you can link for 95-gallon trash can liners that end up being less than 75 cents a piece, please do. But a lot of the places you folks have suggested, Staples, Amazon, Uline, those places, well, Amazon's where I am getting the 75-cent ones from. But all the other ones, Costco, Sam's Club, those folks do not have a better deal on 95-gallon liners than what I'm already paying. I'm happy to be proven wrong with somebody who can post a link in the comments about somewhere I can find them cheaper. But for now, 75 cents a liner. I'm going to try not to say liner too many more times. I know some of you guys have turned that into a drinking game. The thing that I didn't think about, if I have 200 cans out and each one of those has a plastic bag on the inside, I told you I wouldn't say the word. That is $150 a week or $600 a month that I'm spending on plastic. I think, even though my goal is an automated side load machine that I can run by myself, if my wife is saying she will help me out, and if I'm already going to be spending $600 a month on plastic bags to go in the trash cans, I'm trying to save your livers here. I believe that $600 might be better spent with a cheaper trash truck that will make me more efficient, even if it isn't the automated side loader that I want for the end goal. I talked a little bit about this last week, not quite this specific, but I was sitting there saying I don't know if the best thing is to just keep doing this manually until I have enough business and money to buy the truck that I want, or if it makes more sense to try and find something cheaper in the shorter term, I should. There have been several folks who are in the industry leaving comments that I really appreciate, and most of the people who know about what they're talking about, their suggestions are a cheaper rear load truck that's smaller and keeps me from having to mess with liners and keeps me from having to do this work manually is probably what I should be looking at first, and then I could use that as a backup for the side loader down the road. I can use that to grow the business a little bit more efficiently. So nobody is saying don't get the side load that you want. Several of the folks who are in the industry and have been leaving comments are saying is really should look at a rear load. If you didn't see the short, I got a trash bag that exploded right in my face. It was completely my fault. The bag didn't rip. I just smashed it up against the wood siding. It was my fault. As I was going about my route the rest of the day, all I could think of is, man, a truck would be really nice where I didn't have to deal with this, even if it's not the side load that I want. And that's when I thought about the fact that if I have 200 cans on the street, I would be saving $150 a week, $600 a month. That could go to a payment for that kind of truck. And if I'm going to be wasting $600 on liners, why wouldn't I just put that money towards the payment on a rear load garbage truck? Now, I have to be very clear, because if I say that, someone is going to say, oh, so you're saying a garbage truck's only $600. No, I'm not saying that $600 would cover the payment of a new, smaller rear load truck. It wouldn't cover the whole payment. It also wouldn't cover the new insurance payment on that truck. So a new truck would still be a lot of expense, but I think I might be leaning in that direction. So I don't know what the timing on it'll be. I believe until I get probably 100 cans, I don't think my wife would be on board with me buying a garbage truck. And since the financials of that decision would probably affect the whole family, I definitely want her buy-in on that before I did that. But again, I really don't know. It's just going to depend on how things play out. This route, there were a lot of very heavy liners that I had to empty, and I couldn't just do the bags, so we tilted it one more time during the day. I believe on next week's video, I don't think I had to tip the trailer at all because I was able to sling smaller bags to the back a lot more, and the distribution was much better. So that's going to be one of those things where it really depends on the route, whether or not I have to tilt the dump trailer back in order to make some extra space. Cleared some up there, but I should have gone higher. Oh well. If this is week 7, we haven't even been doing it 2 months. So still learning the best kind of practices. You can see here I'm getting some good ones that I can sling into the back, and that helps with making the most out of the space that I have. The other thing about tilting the trailer back is it does compact the trash a little bit. Obviously nothing like a real trash truck, but that makes me have a little bit more space as well. So moving forward, you'll see a lot more of that. Now, one super negative comment that I'm going to, again, try not to yell at you about, and it's more of a theme. Honestly, I've seen it at least every single time I've posted. There's been somebody who said something to the effect of, this business isn't making money, you just need to stop. And I wouldn't even say it makes me mad. It just makes me more confused. I'm almost certain these are just little kids who don't have any idea, how businesses work. But the point I want to make to anybody watching is if you start a new business and you expect it to be successful or making money or fulfilling your hopes and dreams, after 7 weeks, you're going to set yourself up for some disappointment. So the whole point of this business is to slowly grow something over the coming years so that in 5 to 10 years, it's a business that is extremely efficient because it won't have much debt. All the money it's made will have been put right back into growing it. And at that point, if I want to stop mowing, or if I have to stop mowing because, some part of my body breaks down, we'll have this business that is 100% ready to go and make us money. The goal is not to be making money right now on week 7. If you think it is, it's just, there's no way. I think I said it last week, it's something like $35,000 of startup costs, $14,000 for the trash cans, $15,000 for the dump trailer, and then, another $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on uniforms and advertising and stamps and envelopes and Vistaprint door hangers and business cards and the website and general liability insurance, all those things. So that's the one thing I want you to keep in mind. If you're sitting there saying, Brad's not making any money when I go over my numbers, you're right, I'm not. This is going to be something that's going to take me years before I'm making money. But if you look at something in life and you say, oh, it's going to take 4 years to work out or 2 years to work out or whatever time frame it is that you think is too long, so you just don't even start it, or you only try it for a few weeks and then quit, I'm telling you, you're going to be disappointed in a lot of things, and you might even miss out on some really great things that could happen in your life because you simply weren't willing to stick it out. I mean, that applies to so many different things in life, not even just businesses, but, what if you're trying to get healthier? So you decide to eat better and exercise more, and after a few weeks, you aren't seeing the kind of results you want. So you say, oh, this isn't working at all, I'm just going to quit. Or what if you're starting a new relationship and, you're trying to get used to everybody's personalities or the way that they do things differently than you, and maybe some of the things annoy you, and you say, I've been dating this person for 2 months and I hate them. I'm never going to see eye to eye to them. So I'm just going to dump them and quit. You could be missing out. I mean, maybe that's the right choice. I don't know, but you could be missing out. And I'm not trying to be negative or tell somebody that they're wrong when they say this business isn't making money, because it's not. The time and the effort and the money that I'm investing in this business is not so I can make money back in week 7. It's to set something up long term that'll be much bigger than this. And I really hope the folks who don't get it stick around, because I think, I could be wrong, I'll be the first one to admit it, but I think it's going to be pretty exciting to see how this thing grows over the course of the next few years. And again, 1 to 2 cans a week. It might take me 2 years just to get my first 200 cans out. I am switching the marketing tactic up, and we are no longer advertising the paid in full plan for the discount. We're going right to the pricing is $36 a month. We are the cheapest in the county. We don't have a can deposit anymore. So we're going after the folks now who didn't have all that extra money for an annual paid in full. For the steepest discount, we're still giving folks the most affordable option for the county for weekly pickup. Because that's another thing. In our community, there's a lot of households that every single dollar counts. And so for some people, saving up $400 or spending $400 for an annual paid in full plan, that is not a big deal. If it saves them $100 over the course of the year, they'll do it because that $100 in savings is worth it. But then there's a lot of households, in fact, the vast majority that probably couldn't come up with that $400 if they had to. I still want to be able to take care of them and provide them service. So we're done with the route. That was 25 stops, 26 stops, and probably a few more cans than that. Not that many though. This is about 25, 26 cans. And again, this is a 7x14 dump trailer. I think if I tipped it way far, I could probably get a little bit more space, but yeah, I probably could only fit another 10 cans or so in there. I'm not sure. As we drive to the landfill, you'll see that trash can in the back of the truck. That was that emergency can that I dropped off for the missed pickup, but I did need to take that home and pressure wash it. So that's why there was a fee for doing that. I didn't mind running them the can, so they had a can to get them to the next pickup. I don't do one-time pickups simply because it would be like a 2-hour commitment. Go to the house that got missed and then go to the landfill and come back. It's not something I'm interested in doing, so they just had to wait until the next pickup. That can does need to be pressure washed and sanitized before it can be put back into service, which is about 20 to 30 minutes of work. So yes, there does need to be a fee to capture that time that I'm spending. This will be a good time to go over our numbers. This week I added 3 clients. We are up to 26 clients. One of those clients ordered 2 cans. So we have 30 cans that are placed. Remember, I purchased 200, so we still have 170 sitting on the back patio. Still a lot of work to do before I meet that goal of getting all of them out. But we are making progress, and this week was a little bit better than my 1 to 2 cans a week average. When it comes to our direct costs for the week, 30 cans will cost us $22.50 in liners, and for fuel, we spent $28.34. We burned 8.1 gallons of fuel at $3.50 a gallon. We have continued to dump more weight every single visit. This week we dumped 1,040 pounds of trash. We finally broke half a ton of trash. Baker County picks up our dump fees because this is trash from Baker County residents that come to this tri-county landfill. If we would have had to pay for it, it would have been $15.60. Our revenue on those 30 cans is around $228 for the week, with direct costs totaling $50.84 in liners and fuel. That left us with a profit of $177.16. Now this week, the main road that we go to the landfill on was shut down for one-way traffic only. So it probably took us maybe an extra half hour. So normally while we're around 7 man hours to do this route, it took us an extra half hour, which is an extra man hour. So our hourly rate, even though we made more money, is, ooh, we got a thunderstorm going here. So our hourly rate is around $22.14 per hour. One point that was a really great question in this is somebody asked why I am including my wife's time in all of these computations. Because if you don't know, my wife is tagging along with me. The initial goal was to have her drive the truck and trailer while I got the trash. The issue with that is she just hasn't had the comfort level needed for her to feel like she can drive that truck and trailer, which I understand because there's a lot of places where you have to pull over to the side of the road and the speed limit's, 55 miles an hour on that road. We have a couple stops where there's a 45 mile an hour speed limit and you have to pull off of the road onto a shoulder that's grass and is very steep. It's basically somebody's ditch. There's a couple of places you have to do 3-point turns. There's a couple of very tight cul-de-sacs. All that to say, my wife has not driven the truck and trailer yet, but she still goes with me. Long term, I do want her to still drive for us. And whether that is in the truck and trailer, which I doubt, or a smaller Isuzu rear load garbage truck, which is much more likely, at some point she will be driving for us and I'll be doing the trash. The other thing that she does for me is she runs our cell phone that has our Jobber app on it. And that's the technology behind our operation that has all the routing. It has, where we start, stop, and complete jobs. So we can capture those GPS coordinates that I talked about. When I tell you that a stop averaged 1.5 minutes or 30 seconds, the reason I know that is because she starts and stops jobs for me when I pull up and drive away. So I've got that data. So she runs all of that for me. So even though she's not driving, she still is doing some work for me. But all those reasons are not the most important one. My goal in this whole series is to give you folks as much information as possible, especially people who are wanting to start this kind of a job or this kind of a business for themselves. And I feel like it's more helpful if I give you the worst case scenario and say, if you do this with 2 people, this is what it costs. I don't really feel like it's fair for me to have 2 people in the truck and only count one person's time. Because if you have 2 people in the truck, odds are you're going to need to value their time too. So the bigger reason is that I just want to make the numbers as worst case scenario as possible so that it portrays the most realistic picture of how the business is doing. Now keep in mind, all that is kind of a moot point because this money that we're making per hour, if you've watched the video series, you know we don't really make that. All the money this thing makes, we just put right back into the bank. This is kind of just to keep track of the growth and the numbers from week to week. So if there's any questions you have that I have not covered, please do leave them down below in the comments. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it.